I love award season. I love watching the nominated movies, talking about my favorites, and watching the hype of the award season unfold through several different shows. The Oscars are without question the top film award show of the season, and up until this year, the Golden Globes have consistently held the number two spot. However, that reign looks to be in serious jeopardy. The Los Angeles Times released an article in February of 2021 that specifically outlined many problematic elements of the Golden Globes voting body, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. The article famously included the fact that there were no Black members of the organization, but it also publicized a quote from a lawsuit taken against the Hollywood Foreign Press that states, "Members are accepting thousands of dollars in emoluments from the very same studios, networks, and celebrities they conferred trophies upon, all of it hidden behind a code of silence." So basically that they were taking bribes. The legitimacy of the Golden Globes has long been in question, even with the hosts of the event themselves joking about it.
One Hollywood publication said that me hosting would mean that some film stars would stay away for fear of being made fun of. As if film stars would stay away from the chance of winning a Golden Globe, particularly if their film company has already paid for it.
If you take away the possibility, or rather probability, of the organization taking bribes, the voting body consists of less than 100 journalists, many of whom, according to the LA Times articles, do not work for full-time major outlets. One anonymous publicist stated in the Times article, "I think the Globes are honestly the most important moment leading up to the Oscars. And when you think that such a small group makes those decisions, it's kind of horrifying." The only reason why the Golden Globes have become so important to the award season is because of their large TV deal with NBC. Even though the Oscars and the Globes do not have any overlapping voting members, every year around 18 million people watch the event, including Academy voters and film writers. It gives these stars a chance to plead their case for an Oscar nomination in front of the journalists who publish articles with their own Oscar predictions and the Academy voters who may be inclined to now watch a film that wasn't on their radar previously, now that the producer or star gave a good speech. It's paradoxical in that the Globes only matter because people watch them, and people only watch them because they think they matter as an Oscar indicator. Every award season, journalists publish Oscar predictions, and they almost all include a Globes win or nomination as part of their justifications. When such a small voting body who may or may not be taking bribes are the largest entity responsible for boosting these Oscar resumes, it's clear why some people take exception. On May 10th, 2021, NBC announced that they would not be airing the Golden Globes in 2022. We continue to believe that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association is committed to meaningful reform. However, change of this magnitude takes time and work. We feel strongly that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association needs time to do it right, the company said in a statement. As such, NBC will not air the 2022 Golden Globes. The Hollywood Foreign Press stated that they would move forward with a small ceremony, but then Variety released an article saying that they learned that they failed to secure any celebrity presenters. And then shortly afterwards, the Golden Globes announced on Twitter that the event would not be streamed publicly at all. NBC did say that they are hopeful to air the Globes in 2023, but this is a clear chink in the armor. As one example, IMDb has removed all mention of the Golden Globes from their Awards Central section on their website. It appears that the industry is ready to move on from the controversial ceremony, and this opens the door for a new awards show to take the number two spot, just after the Oscars. And I believe that the Critics' Choice Awards are in a unique position to take advantage of this. The scope of this video specifically is going to focus on televised award shows in the United States that serve as predictors to the Oscars. I'm not going to address whether or not award shows matter in general. That is a topic for a different time. And I am not going to talk about award shows that do not have overlapping categories with the Oscars, such as the Emmys or the Grammys. Technically, the Grammys do overlap in a couple of categories, but that's not really relevant to this discussion. Currently, there are the Golden Globes, the Screen Actors Guild Awards, the Independent Spirit Awards, and the Critics' Choice Awards. There are other organizations that serve as predictors, such as the BAFTAs, or British Academy of Film and Television, and various guild awards, such as the Directors Guild and Producers Guild Awards. But none of these are televised in the United States. And if they were, I believe that there would be insurmountable hurdles that would keep them from ever reaching the viewership levels that the Golden Globes enjoyed in the United States. The BAFTAs, for example, would broadcast at a time that makes sense in the UK, not in the US. The Guild Awards, on the other hand, only consist of voting bodies that make up their union, which would exclude them from having Oscar predictive categories. So let's look at the pros and cons of the SAG Awards, the Spirit Awards, and the Critics' Choice Awards. The SAG Awards started in 1995 and have been televised on TNT since 1998. And since 2007, they've also been simulcast on TBS. The major strength of the SAGs is that they have a very large voting body, and many in that voting body are also voters for the Academy Awards. That would seemingly make them the best indicator for the Oscars, but that doesn't always prove to be the case. First of all, not all members are involved with the nominating process. SAG has a nominating committee which selects 2,500 actors through a random computer-generated lottery comprised of active, paid-up SAG members, meaning that those nominating actors for these awards aren't necessarily the A-listers who are also Academy members. Also, after the committee nominates the individuals, there are approximately 160,000 members who are eligible to vote for the awards. By comparison, the Oscars have a body just under 10,000, citing an article in April of 2021. With that many members, it's clear how their priorities may not line up with that of the overlapping Academy members, let alone the Academy's 8,000 members who aren't actors. But lastly, as I alluded to earlier, the biggest knock against the SAGs as an Oscar predictor is the fact that they do not and cannot have a Best Picture category by the nature of their awards. The SAGs are strictly a union of actors voting for actors in acting categories. The biggest award of the night is Best Acting Ensemble, which some voters may treat as a Best Picture category, but the rules state that they should be voting on performance of SAG members, not the overall quality of the film as a whole. Best Picture is still the biggest award at the Oscars, even if the producers make the indefensibly stupid decision not to present it last. So with that, I believe the second biggest award show of the season needs to have a Best Picture category. Next, the Independent Spirit Awards. The Independent Spirit Awards are probably the most entertaining of the non-Oscar award shows, and that is simply because they have the most leeway to do wild things during their broadcast, such as in the 2019 broadcast, where host Aubrey Plaza did a bit where she sacrificed Finn Wolfhard to prevent shitty sequels and lazy reboots. Before Plaza took the reins in 2019, the event was normally hosted by successful stand-up comedians, such as Nick Kroll, John Mulaney, Kumail Nanjiani, and Andy Samberg.
This is the only award show where your UberX driver is nervous to drop you off at it.
This here, man?
Yeah, it's right.
Opening monologue of the spirits are always very entertaining and by far my favorite of the award season. The ceremonies never had any delusions of prestige, which allowed them to take chances and deliver just a fun show.
The Independent Spirit Awards, where the dress code is get dressed.
Yes.
However, the Spirit Awards are perhaps the worst Oscar predictors of all the award shows. The awards only celebrate independent films, so nothing produced by any major studio is eligible. On top of that, the voting body is pretty much anybody who has $95 in a credit card. So while some members who vote for the Spirit Awards technically could be Academy members, it's pretty safe to assume they're not. And lastly, they normally take place the day before the Oscars, which is well after the Academy voting period ends. So even if a winner gave a great speech that could sway an Oscar voter, it would be way too late for that to matter. So that brings us to the point of this video, the Critics' Choice Awards. If you haven't seen these awards or even knew that they were a thing, consider yourself lucky. They are by far the most flawed and borderline unwatchable show of all of the award season. The awards started in 1995 and were first broadcast in 2007. They have bounced around a few networks since then, but currently show on the CW and TBS through a simulcast agreement. The voting body is made up of over 500 members of the American Canadian Critics' Choice Association, which is formerly the Broadcast Critics Association. Up to this point, they are a small footnote at best of the award season. But with the downfall of the Golden Globes, I'm rooting for them to get their proverbial shit together and become the award show that we all want to watch. So the strengths of the Critics' Choice Awards. I do think that the voting body matters when it comes to Oscar indicators. The Critics' Choice hasn't been much of an indicator up to now, but I think that's mostly because nobody watches it. Critics and the Academy probably don't have any overlapping members, but for the most part, the films nominated for the Critics' Choice Awards are the same ones that are largely in contention at the Oscars. I think the 500-ish members of the Critics' Choice is a good number for a voting body. It isn't ridiculously small like the Hollywood Foreign Press, where a majority of the members could easily be bribed by studios, but it isn't huge like the SAG Awards or probably the Spirit Awards, where the members could easily just not watch the films in contention with no accountability. It is a concise group of professionals who watch movies for a living. The other big advantage of the Critics' Choice Awards is that they have the flexibility to give out some unique and fun awards. The most entertaining moment of the 2020 award season was watching Alan Kim from Minari give an adorable, teary-eyed acceptance speech for winning Best Young Actor Actress.
My family, Isaac, Christina, Doug. Oh my goodness, I cried.
Now that's an award that the Oscars will probably never give out due to their history and their veil of prestige, but it's perfect for an award show like this. Another example is they used to have an award called the MVP Award, which was retired in 2017. This rewarded the best full body of work in a given year, not just one single performance.
I was able to prep, shoot, and promote all 4 films this year because of the brilliant team I work with.
For example, Florence Pugh in 2019 was in 3 huge movies of completely different genres: Midsommar, Fighting with My Family, and Little Women. It was remarkable that somebody could have such a diverse output in one year, But currently, no award show recognizes this sort of achievement, which just seems criminal. I'll talk about it more later, but the MVP award was a huge advantage for the Critics' Choice, and it could be an asset in getting them back into relevance. Additionally, they used to have other Best Picture categories for genres of films that don't generally get recognized by the Academy, such as Best Sci-Fi Horror Movie, Best Action Movie, and Best Comedy. It looks like they have discontinued the Best Sci-Fi Horror Movie and Best Action Movie as of 2022, further leading into their irrelevance. This was the only broadcast award show that specifically recognized sci-fi and horror movies and action movies, and it was nice to see these popular films get the recognition that they deserved. Again, until they screwed that up. To put it mildly, the Critics' Choice Awards are the most inexplicably unentertaining, unwatchable display of incompetence through award season. It's like the showrunners have no clue what people like in award shows, so they just kind of throw everything at the wall, hoping that stupid suckers like me watch them every year, regardless of how awful they are. First of all, in 2016, they made the inexplicable boneheaded decision to give out awards for both movies and TV in one ceremony, combining the Critics' Choice Movies Awards and the Critics' Choice Television Awards. Now, a ceremony that already had way too many categories and ran too long now had to basically double the awards they were giving out in the same amount of time.
That's too many people. That's far too many people. I'm going to accept on their behalf. Thank you very much.
To facilitate this mind-blowingly bad idea, they gave out most of the awards through a voiceover graphic just before cutting to commercial break. And I'm not even just talking about the technical awards. I'm talking about above-the-line Big Five awards such as Best Screenplay. Casey Affleck brought attention to this in his speech after winning in 2016.
I have to acknowledge that Kenneth Lonergan and Damien Chazelle won the Best Original Screenplay, which seems like a funny thing to skip over, considering none of us would be here without that. They probably would write some interesting speeches, I gather.
They even occasionally give out awards on the red carpet, and it is just as disrespectful and tasteless as it sounds.
Be presented on the main show tonight, so we are giving out a few of them right here on the red carpet, and the first one is Best Animated Feature. Now, congratulations!
Thank you so
I've got a little something for you here.
Be quiet with all the
This year, there are 41 competitive awards and one sort of special achievement award, which I'll get to later. If the idea is to honor the best of the year, letting them be cast aside in a sea of winners without even giving a majority of them a chance to be on camera after their win is just not the way to do it. And keep in mind, this is after they got rid of their unique and special awards that actually gave the show some hope of being entertaining, such as Best Sci-Fi Horror Film, Best Action Movie, and MVP. Just to rapid fire a few more issues, the event is completely unorganized, the hosts are terrible, and the set is laughably awful and jarring to look at.
Holy crap! That cannon just blew my goddamn head off! How did that happen? Where's my body? Why didn't my body come out? It's just my head?
All right, enough complaining. How do we fix it? Well, the answer is actually quite simple. Lean into their strengths and just prioritize. First of all, film and television need to be separate shows. If they are going to give out these unique awards that people want to see, people actually need to be able to see them awarded. It's disrespectful to both parties to be pushed aside to stuff everything into one show. The only reason I could think of as why they may have done that in the first place is the network probably didn't want to pay for two separate ceremonies. But if you want to be the number 2 award show every award season, people have to take you seriously, which they're not going to do if you give out awards on the red carpet and over commercial breaks. It's so painfully obvious, it's hard to believe it even needs to be said. Second, just get a real host and a real set. Standing in front of a large LED panel is just painfully lazy, and these hosts are insufferable. I have nothing against many of the former hosts as actors, but they can't command the attention of a crowd as a host. And they have been very unsuccessful in making an entertaining show thus far.
Wow.
What are you doing here tonight? Are you on stage tonight?
That was one of my icons. I loved Mr. Show, past tense. I loved Mr. Show. But
I think they should go with the route of the Spirit Awards and find a solid stand-up comedian who has a couple of successful stand-up specials to their name.
Next one. Surrounded by MILFs at Taco Bell.
Next, I would argue that the awards themselves need to be restructured to allow for more unique awards and allow for more varieties of films to be recognized. Stay with me here. There are 3 basic categories that the awards can fall in: cast, crew, and picture. So let me start with cast. People like seeing movie stars get recognized, so I do think they need to keep their existing awards and actually expand it slightly. There are the obvious 4 awards that are pretty much in every show: Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Supporting Actress. They also already have in their lineup Best Acting Ensemble and Best Young Actor/Actress, which I think are terrific. They are unique awards that recognize an area that the Oscars won't. I would also argue that they should add in Best Voice Acting Performance, which is an area of acting that is not currently recognized by any televised award show. It is a category at the Annie Awards, which aren't broadcast. I would keep it as just one award, not splitting it up by gender, just to limit the number of categories. And as I alluded to before, they need to bring back the MVP award. It was a great, entertaining award recognizing a full body of work in one year, and I looked forward to it being handed out every year until they removed the category. Now, previously, it was an honorary award, and I do think they should change it to be a competitive category, meaning that there should be multiple nominees in it. So starting with the 2016 awards, they replaced the MVP award with something called the See Her Award, which awards actresses who, quote, further the portrayal of three-dimensional women on screen. This award never made any sense and feels incredibly pandering and condescending. I mean, by definition of the award, it sounds like it should go to the writer who writes a three-dimensional role. But by just giving this award to the biggest female actor who agrees to show up to the event makes it feel less like celebrating an achievement and more like begging for viewers. And I'm not saying that gal, Viola Davis, or anyone else who got this award isn't incredibly talented and deserving of an award. They absolutely are. But just making up an award with such vague stipulations seems really disingenuous. I don't know. They seemed happy enough to accept the award, so maybe I'm off base here, but I find it insulting and unnecessary, and I'd be happy to see it go. So now we're at 8 awards. Next, let's talk about the Crew Awards. As of 2021, there are 11 awards that would fall into that category, which are Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Production Design, Cinematography, Costume Design, Editing, Hair and Makeup, Score, Song, and Visual Effects. This might be my most controversial take, but I think this needs to be dramatically slimmed down. I think that Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Adapted Screenplay need to stay, but I think the others aren't necessary for this specific award show. This show should be leaning into what makes it special, not just copying the same categories from other shows. Yes, I do think that it should be an Oscar predictor, but that doesn't mean it needs to be an Oscar predictor in every single category. These technical categories take away time that could be used to highlight awards that are not given out at other shows. I also personally don't think that critics are the right group to recognize achievements in crafts like these. Critics, by definition, are a group of writers who can articulate if film language works for its intended purpose to support the thesis of a production. They specialize in knowing and understanding film language and screenplay structure, so I believe that that is what they should be awarding. The line needs to be drawn somewhere, and I think that it needs to be limited to only above the line categories, so that every award can be given out on stage on ceremony night. Now we're at 11 awards. Now, the biggest change in format that I would make is in the Best Picture categories. I would argue that this is the perfect format and perfect voting body to recognize films by genre and then come together at the end for one overall Best Picture. Again, throughout the year, some of my favorite movies of the year would be horror or other off-genre films that generally aren't recognized during award season at all. This is the show to do it. I propose that there are 10 Best Picture categories separated by genre, and then the winners of those categories make up the true Best Picture category at the end of the night. The individual awards would be Best Action Movie, Best Animated Feature, Best Biography or Movie Based on a True Story, Best Comedy, Best Drama, Best Live Action Family Movie, Best International Movie, Best Horror Movie, Best Musical or Music-Centered Movie, and then Best Sci-Fi or Fantasy Movie. I've been saying an award show needs to be created that recognizes all genres of film for a long time. And I've even heard some filmmakers say that they think it would be a fun idea for a show and that it would be nice to see films of other genres get recognized. So how would the voting work, since the voters wouldn't know the true Best Picture nominees until the night of the ceremony? On the ballot, after voting for all of the movies in their respective categories, there would be a section where they could rank their favorites regardless of genre. Their top movie, which also won its own category earlier in the night, would be their vote for the overall Best Picture. In my proposed idea, the night would be limited to 22 awards. Every genre of film will be recognized, the stars will have their time to give speeches, and hopefully the show will become entertaining enough that it could actually be a predictor to the Oscars. The Critics' Choice Awards are, at best, an unrealized mess with a couple of neat categories. However, so far their only controversy is just how they've gravely mishandled their own show. People are ready to move on from the Golden Globes. Now the question is, who's going to take their place? The Critics' Choice Awards have all the potential in the world, and it's time that they finally found their identity and became a show worth watching.